Well, first is just the mindset of being considerate, understanding that the person you're trying to reach is just overwhelmed, and that's it. So if one of your friends, for example, has ever been in a situation where they're completely overwhelmed, but you're still trying to reach your friend, you probably would do the same thing. You wouldn't be suddenly mean to your friend because they didn't get back to you immediately. You'd be like, hey, what's up? Are you okay? I haven't heard from you. I'm getting worried about you. Okay, you wouldn't say this to a music industry professional, but it's the same kind of mindset. You're not mad. You're just saying like, hey, I'm still here. No, okay, hold on. That's a bad example. You don't want to actually say, hey, I'm still here. But that's the mindset is you're not getting upset. You're being considerate and understanding that they're just overwhelmed. And I didn't truly understand this until I was running CD Baby. And suddenly I was the guy that was overwhelmed and a musician was trying to contact me. And they emailed once and they said, hey, something. And I went, oh, right, I got to get to that. And then just something came and distracted me and the email fell back into my inbox. And then like 4 days later, they emailed again like, hey, Derek, I haven't heard from you yet. I emailed a few days ago about this. I went, oh, right. Oh, my God, I didn't get back to that person. And I was just about to, but then the phone rings and then somebody says, dude, we have this lunch appointment and I'm out the door and it gets forgotten again. And then they tell me that somebody's on the phone and it's that musician that's emailed me twice. I went, oh, my God, that person that's emailed twice. Yes. Okay, hold on. I'll take the call. And it's not that I was deliberately not replying to those others. I just got overwhelmed and they got forgotten. And so I was really thankful that this person was persistent and kept trying without getting upset and also tried different methods. Some people only text. They will never email. And some people only email. They don't like texting. And some people only use whatever. They only use their DMs and Twitter and they don't use anything else. You got to just know that people use different mediums. Try to reach them different ways. Just stay considerate and do not get upset at all. Like even internally, just manage your emotions in some way so that you're not getting upset about this. You're not taking it personally. And just politely saying, hey, following up, contacted you a few days ago. I know you're looking for such and such. And let me know what's a good time to reach you. That's it. Just succinct. The shorter the better. Shorter messages get answered way more than long one. Long messages, whether it's a text or an email or whatever, if you get a long message, you go, seriously? Later. I'll read this later. I'm busy. But if you just send like 3 sentences, 5 sentences tops, you'll be much more likely to get a response. And it's also much more human. Ones that are big and long, especially these days, it's like, oh God, did they seriously use GPT to write this? No. Like anybody needs longer messages. No. Yeah, keep it short, be polite. That's all.
Speaking of building these industry connections, I know you talked a lot in the book about how it's so important to build your network because that's where a lot of opportunities come from. People like to help people that they like. But a lot of musicians probably don't have a network to turn to, at least in the beginning. Do you have any advice for growing that from the start? Obviously, you're not going to be meeting with the biggest industry executives at the beginning, but do you have advice for growing up until that point?
Yes, this was one of the biggest, most interesting lessons I've ever learned in my life. I was 20 years old. I grew up in Hinsdale, Illinois, in the middle of, well, that's not the middle of nowhere, whatever. I mean, I grew up in Hinsdale, Illinois. I went off to music school in Boston, and suddenly I'm 20 years old. I'm living in New York City, and I'm in way over my head. I don't know anybody. I have no connections. And I would just contact people that were doing anything in the industry. A friend of a friend works at a radio station. And I'd just call that guy or just email him or contact him saying like, hey, my name's Derek. musician in the city, my friend Jeff said that you were at the station, could I treat you to lunch? I have no idea what it's like to work at a station. A lot of people, you'll get two people will say no, and then a third one will say yes. And you'll just meet up not in a transactional, what can you do for me kind of way, but just making friends. This is the part that blew my mind, is that the people in the music industry, we think of them as like, oh my God, this powerful person that can make or break my career. And because of this, we accidentally put them up on a pedestal, or we get nervous when talking to them. But they're actually very similar to musicians. They're people that just love music, but maybe just didn't spend enough time with their fingers on an instrument, and so they don't know how to play it. So instead, they want to enable it. So they got into the music industry because they love music so much. They want to get music to people. That's how much they love it. And so they're usually pretty open to meeting with a fellow music fan. But I highly recommend just approaching it as just friends, just getting to know them, asking more questions instead of promoting yourself. In fact, don't really promote yourself at all. You can low-key mention what you do, but just getting to know them as friends was so much more rewarding to me. Because then later you find out that the person that was just a cool person you had lunch with, because you were a cool person to hang out with or talk to, then a week later they're suddenly sending some big opportunity your way because you seem like a good person. You know what I mean? It was really surprising how that works. It almost felt like the Tao of business, that win by not trying. But it also was just much more rewarding instead of just going through the music industry in a really transactional way, just trying to use people and get what you can out of them. Making friends, you get both friends and benefits.
This really reminds me of the story that you shared in your book, how when you were a struggling musician and you attended a conference in Las Vegas, you were just hanging out by the pool and happened to meet someone who was really high up in the industry and then helped you out. Can you walk me through that story from start to finish and where you ended up with that, just as like a great example to share with my audience on how that can work out well for you?
Yeah. Even though I know the stuff that I just said, I still was intimidated by people that I knew were super VIPs, like record company presidents. I had them on a pedestal, even though I could meet with Jeff that works at a radio station and Stacy who works in marketing. The record label presidents felt like, a different breed of superstars. They're out, untouchables. And so I would attend industry conferences and I'd do things like sit in the front row and kind of like write down everybody's name and write down things that they said. And I'd kind of imagine myself networking with them in the future and maybe getting them my music somehow. But it was always like this scary, intimidating thing. But then at this industry conference in Las Vegas, there was a break for lunchtime, and I just went and stuck my feet in the pool, and some dude sat down next to me, or maybe I sat down next to him, I don't remember. But he was just some nobody, and so we were just talking about whatever, the funny girl over there and the cheesy food and how weird Las Vegas is. And we just talked about life for like half an hour, and he was just a cool dude. And when he got up, he said, "Hey, keep in touch, man. Good talking with you. My name's Larry." And he handed me his card. Vice President of A&M Records. I went, oh shit. Like, I'm so glad that I didn't know that when we sat down. Otherwise I would have acted like an idiot, being nervous and stammering and trying to promote myself and not being natural and not being cool to hang out with. I would have been stupid and nerdy and nervous. And so it just taught me like, wow, it's a great reminder that, for one, these people that we think are VIPs, they're just regular people that just got some dumb job because their life stumbled them in that direction, and now they're the president of a label or the VP of some industry thing. But they're not different humans. And so you should really talk with them and get to know them the same way you would just get to know another bass player or any other musician or anybody. They're not different. And then by not treating them different, you might actually make a real friendship that could also benefit you. But even if it doesn't, you've got a friend. In this case with Larry Weintraub, he and I stayed in touch after that. I started CD Baby a year or two after that happened. And I contacted him later to tell him, oh God, actually, maybe he contacted me. He's like, Derek, Larry Weintraub, I don't know if you remember me from the pool in Las Vegas. I went, oh my God, yes. And he sent a musician who was unknown at that time named Jack Johnson to CD Baby because he had met me in the pool and he trusted me. And so Jack Johnson was one of my biggest selling artists on CD Baby. And that came because Larry sent him my way because he trusted me because I was the cool dude we met in the swimming pool years earlier. And he ended up sending many other artists my way. Gary Jules, who had the hit song Mad World, came my way because of Larry too. And yeah, as I was writing this chapter in the book, I contacted him to ask how he's doing. And it was just sweet that we've known each other now for 25 years because I wasn't nervous when I met him that first day.